Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa Radio and African Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anakwem. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced that it will grant access code to political parties to enable them upload names of their candidates for the conduct of the 2027 general election. That will be on June 26. The parties will have some days to get the names uploaded. INEC has asked their IT persons to get ready. Now, the big parties have refused to announce results of the primaries they conducted for legislative election. This has elicited controversies. We'll break the development down for you that are holding back. Is it a strategic move or is it as a result of lobbying for names to be substituted? We will also examine the controversies surrounding the delineation of wards in the 3 local government areas of Warri. That's Warri South, Warri North, and Warri Southwest local governments. An issue that has generated strong reactions from political stakeholders within that place, community leaders and residents. While some stakeholders view the process as a necessary step towards improving representation and correcting existing gaps, others have questioned their approach, calling for greater consultation and a possible review of the delineation exercise to ensure what they call fairness, unity, and peaceful coexistence among the people of Warri, and a city that has a conglomeration of different ethnic groups in Delta State. We can tell you that some community members of the different ethnic nationalities have shut down several crude oil flow stations. This, has serious consequences for the economy of Nigeria and also the security of the country. We will also dwell on the proposed bill by the Senate leader of AME, Bamidele, for a 6-year single term for president and governors. A proposal that is not new in Nigeria's polity. Will it move towards friction this time around? Well, before we go into all these analysis, let me welcome my colleagues. Mustafa Mohammed is here, Shola Jaisimi is here, and Uju Ejeye is also here. Gentlemen of the press.
Thank you, Amechi and
Thank you so much, Amechi.
The Niger Delta, or Delta State, for example, is what for many people refer to as the heartbeat of the nation. And the oil wells, the oil pump station, the pipelines, and many noise in the past about the environmental degradation and what have you. So anything that will cause crisis in Delta would also affect the economy of Nigeria.
Absolutely. When Niger Delta sneezes, Nigeria
the nation catches cold.
We'll dwell so much on that very controversial development there with grave security challenges for the country. There were some conflicts in that area in the past. We struggled to manage it. We should nip this one in the bud. But let's take this break. This break will see the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopita, speak to political party leaders on plans by the commission to grant access code to them to enable them upload names of their candidates to INEC website.
Acknowledge the conclusion of the party primaries in relevant jurisdiction. The primary election process remains the gateway to democratic governance, and its credibility directly impacts the quality and integrity of the electoral process. Following the conclusion of the primaries, the Commission is transitioning to the candidates' nomination phase. Accordingly, on the 26th June 2026, The Commission will issue official access code to all political parties for the purpose of accessing the candidates' nomination portal. These access codes will enable designated national officials of political parties to upload the names, personal particulars, and other required information relating to the nominated candidates. I urge political parties to ensure that the ICT personnel and relevant officers are adequately prepared and that all submissions are completed well before the stipulated deadlines. The portal is fully automated and will close automatically at the expiration of the prescribed period.
Speaking to leaders of the different political parties in a meeting in Abuja. That was on Tuesday. Shola Jaisimi, the big parties have been holding the results of their primaries, especially for legislative elections. We don't seem to have problems with the presidential and governorship, but for the legislative, National Assembly, that's the Senate and House of Representatives, State Assembly, they have kept it to their chest. Is it that they don't want to, indeed, the opponents to know what is happening, or they are trying to mend the cracks that we have seen within their walls?
It's possible it's the latter. That's why we had Senator Victor Omo here on Monday who was telling us, look, until INEC tells us to bring the candidates that we have selected from our primary, that's when we will do so. So Professor Amukpito has served it back in the court of the political parties now, that they should do the needful. And let's not forget that there are two court judgments about these timelines for submission. INEC says it will appeal that one. That's another separate matter. But I heard Prof. Amukpito talking about, that's the technology, the ICT, and all of that. He was charging the political parties to ensure they do the needful technologically. And that's a good one. He has come on board now. Not a few will remember that the same INEC, that same charge he is passing across to the political parties technologically. His own team in his ICT department, they too must also do their own part so that no glitches and all of that and all. We've passed that era now.
And there are questions already being raised against the ICT department.
Exactly, of INEC. Mm-hmm. Yes, so the political parties now have their own responsibility. Serve these things up there. Upload them so that INEC, following its guidelines, which is still in dispute legally, can now publish those names. And those who feel dissatisfied, the political parties can know where they stand. It's good for people to know where they stand. I was watching, a couple of days ago, some primaries in another clime, the US, where they are running primaries. The results are all over. They are doing the primaries, the things are coming up. So, political parties need to be able to come up with more transparent means so that internal party democracy can be strengthened before you even talk of the general
It's
political
always
party.
the ruling party that have this problem of primaries. But for now, we are seeing even the opposition run into that problem.
Correct. So every political party needs to up its game at this time. Nigerians want to know who is coming up, so that they can begin to make their choices as early as possible.
Mustafa.
You see, when you don't create a level playground for the members of your party, this hide and seek, I call it, will definitely emerge. And that's exactly what caused these parties to be hiding the results of their primaries. We all know what happened at APC. The governors used their powers during the screening to make sure that those whose faces they don't like did not even contest, talk less of emerging.
And the president asked them to go and oversee the primaries.
And then that has caused problem in several states. I can give you a typical example of Nasarawa as one of the state, Gombe as one of the state, and several others, where a few people emerge to the detriment of many others. For how long can we do this kind of thing and we call it a fair play, a democracy? And that Supreme Court judgment also gave an opportunity, gave a window for so many people to jump from one party to the other. Of course, these people are not just people you can wave away with the back of your hand because they have a lot of supporters. And they can go and do either anti-party or defect altogether, which also means that it will affect the fortunes of various political parties at the...
Now, let's consider some things, Mustafa Mohammed. The president was in the National Assembly some years ago and, in quotes, jokingly promised them a return ticket. Now, when it was time for primaries, the president mandated the governors to go and oversee primaries in their states. The governors did their own thing. Many National Assembly members lost out. Now, is it that we also seen it in NDC? The party asked in the Southeast, appointed leaders and say, go and oversee the primaries. Is it that when you ask someone or an interest, an office to go and oversee primaries, you see the inside of his heart in the outcome?
Amechi, greed is a human nature. And you know, the democracy in Nigeria and the actors are still immature. The people do want to be voted into office, and if they are leaving, they want their cronies to come there. And if you accept their tenure either as these governors or National Assembly members, you discover that 99% of them hardly add any value. If a culture in the National Assembly, which I've also covered as an AIT reporter in the past, that after every election, you discover that whether this problem has happened or not, a lot of them will not even come back. You see new faces. It keeps repeating itself. But what has happened during the current primary is like shooting the democratic experience in the foot. And it doesn't tell well of our electoral system or democracy. I think we need some electoral reforms that will stop this braving illegality, this grandstanding.
We reform the political parties.
Exactly, that these governors
the
have
political parties are a subset of the electoral system, and we have been reforming the electoral system, forgetting that we need to reform the main players in one of the main players, the political parties, Uju.
Well, I remember there was a time when these problems first started rearing their heads. That was when people were suggesting like setting up, a school and institution to teach political parties how to run their affairs. I think the PDP came up with a school at that point.
National Democratic Institute.
Exactly.
People's Democratic Institute.
Yes, and then there was
APC also set up their own.
Yes, exactly. And these were all because people realized that there was the need and they called on parties to do so. But to date, we haven't really seen the products, the impact of those institutions, whether by particular political parties or at a general level, political parties put together. What we have seen is growing shenanigans, growing impunity, any kind of malaise that befalls political systems across the world. We have everything combined in Nigeria. And, people trying to foist people who are not even competent or quite qualified on strategic positions. And that is why the country is where it is, because square pegs are put in round holes, round pegs are put in square holes.
In appointments and recruitment.
Yes, a whole lot of mismatch in the system and in institutions of the country, which of course have not even quite taken off. And because elective positions have become big minefields and fertile grounds for cheap enrichment, the contest has moved from being healthy to being fierce, ruthless, ferocious, with all manner of tricks and intrigues employed by politicians, no matter what it takes. You must, if you get there, you don't blow. That's why a man wins an election. The people will party, his people will party for 3 days. It's like, we have arrived. Poverty cannot catch us again.
It's our turn.
There is no sense of service. There is no pure intention in trying to acquire that position. The day our people purify their hearts to really serve the people, the potentials that God has given this great country will begin to manifest. We are where we are because our leaders are not who they should be, are not what they should be, and the followership has given them the opportunity to rape the country to the point of almost near uselessness.
So you see a big man in quote. Is this the big man mentality in our culture? We are bringing in a different culture into our democracy. A big man with a political structure, once he has control of the party, he foists candidates.
Yes,
on
now,
the party.
we bring up
They will look for, like you said, the most appropriate person. They will look for their lackeys.
Somebody who can hide their secrets.
And impose them on the party.
Exactly. Somebody who can hide their secrets, somebody who can negotiate with them or help them transact the horrible things that they intend to perpetuate, the corruption that they want. They want people who can keep their mouths shut. It doesn't matter whether they know anything about what they are being appointed for. And that is why we are where we are. You carry a carpenter, you make him a special advisor. You carry a recharge card seller and put him in a sensitive position in the villa.
Presidential aid.
Exactly.
Shola, do you agree with that?
Well, we look at it from different perspectives. Even those who were in politics, the First Republic, the Second, there were people who put persons they trusted in particular positions, promoted them. But what they did was that theirs was done in a lot of sincerity. If you look at
mentorship-like.
Exactly. Look at the action group.
But what we have is godfather. Instead of being mentees, they become godfather.
Exactly. And those ones kowtow to whatever, I mean, the current set of political players, whatever might
Correct, because if you have a godfather, the person kowtows. Or if you have a mentor, he can disagree with you sometimes.
Exactly. So the scenario is quite... Because if we look back, anytime we talk about political issues and developments in Nigeria, we need to look back so that we don't just, crucify whatever may have occurred in the past. We know those republics fell. Corruption was number one. Insincerity, they spoke about 10%ers. Now, they don't do 10%ers. We clear the whole money. Unfortunately so. A lot of sleaze and all of that. But I also like to look at the positives. It's us who will look at the scenario and ask ourselves, we were here in this fourth republic we're in when the president of a country called the chair of a political party, invited him to, lunch or whatever, they done.
Later,
and they ate together and told him, sign your resignation letter here. But could that happen in the Second Republic? If you look at what
it was the other way in the Second Republic.
Party supremacy.
The national chairman of the ruling party summons meeting and the presidents attend. And the party chairman chairs the caucus meeting.
And the party chair even arrives, contrary to official protocol, so to say, arrives last. The president is already seated. Shagari will be seated at NPN meetings. And Akinloye, Meredith Akinloye, will come and chair the party and they take those decisions. So our political leaders now, what has happened is that the largesse and the things that come with political party...
The perks.
Yes, the perks of office nowadays makes many people who ought to stand up to their bosses who are in political office to somewhat say, if I contest, if I challenge this, my boss now, those perks of office will
it was Obasanjo that changed that direction. That was what we saw in the Second Republic. We tried the Third Republic that was aborted. And when the Fourth Republic came, Obasanjo emerged as president. He told them, I am the one elected. My name was on the, the executive powers are vested on me. And I'm the one to be held responsible. It's not the party. And so he became the party. When governors at the state saw that the president at the national level has become the leader of the party, they also said they will become the leader of our own party.
A man like late Awoniyi, late Solomon Larry, called at that point in time, they tried to call him to order. Barnabas Gemade was like a weak chain in that authority, in that
hierarchy.
Not really hierarchy, the authority when you talk about party supremacy, the elders of a political party, because in those days, MPN can call the elders, the elders of MPN can call their elected officers to order. And Awoniyi did quite a lot. In fact, he had a lot of clashes with Obasanjo as president. Solomon Lat ride. I can remember Madaki. I don't know.
So many of them.
Yes, so
Okay.
many of them. But Obasanjo was unyielding. He didn't want to relinquish that leadership that he ascribed to himself. And that was where the cracks came in.
Absolutely.
That was the point where Barnabas Gemade now came in as the chairman of the PDP instead of later when he recontested at that point in time, and things began to be watered down.
Maybe some other day will track how the National Assembly as an arm of government lost its independence, but that will be another day. Today we have tried to explain to you how parties over time lost that ability to provide direction for elected officials on this platform. Rather, they have assumed the position of parties. And if we take a look at what happened with these primaries, you begin to ask yourself, what will be the outcome of the main election if the primaries are rancorous? Do you expect credible election? We hope we do. Now, we'll move over to Warri in Delta State. Warri in Delta State is known to all of us. Very cosmopolitan. There's no, indeed, Nigerian ethnic nationality that is not represented there. But beyond that broader Nigeria, there is a mini Delta in Warri. And that mini Delta in Warri is playing out as indeed INEC conducted a delineation exercise ordered by the Supreme Court, but some people are not comfortable with the outcome, and there's a potential conflict. We'll dwell on that after this short break. To stay with us.
INEC has resumed the third and final phase of the nationwide continuous voter registration CVR. The exercise, which commenced on Monday, 11th of May 2026, will close on Friday, 10th of July 2026, and is open to persons who have never registered before or turned 18 years after the last registration exercise. Intending voters can visit the INEC voter registration portal at www.cvr.inecnigeria.org to pre-register online and proceed to complete the process at any INEC office to capture their fingerprints and photograph. Citizens can also register physically at any INEC state or LGA office. If your PVC is lost or damaged, do not register afresh. Simply visit the online registration portal or any INEC office and apply for a replacement. You can also T-transfer or update your personal information during this period. Make your voice heard. Get registered. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission. INEC, making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT, on air, online, online.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, within Warri, city and environs, province, you may call it that, three ethnic groups are dominant: the Urhobos, the Ijaws, and the Shekuris. Now, it appears there have been some alignments and realignments based on their perception of the delineation exercise carried out by INEC. First, let's hear from the Urhobos and Ijaws, who appear to be aligned in a position, a particular position. Let's take a listen.
INEC will not know sleep. From the local government to Abuja, INEC will not know peace. They shouldn't alter anything, what they have produced. They shouldn't alter it. We take exception to it. We will not allow it and will not accept it. We cannot endure this any longer. Must we be the people who suffer this insult every time? No.
Hardline positions. Hardline position. Let's start.
Their faces.
Yes.
Whoa.
You see, the Supreme Court of
They know they
Nigeria,
smile.
the Supreme Court of
smiling at us.
Nigeria is the highest court of the country. That is what the Hausa man refers to, quoting Allah ya Isa. From there, you can only take your
Yes, to
grievances to God Almighty to give you another judgment if you disagree. But here on earth, a judgment, a verdict from the Supreme Court is final. And whoever is going to challenge
That's the
verdict,
judicial solution. Does it come with political solution? Do we need a political solution? Because it appears the judicial
you don't forget the fact that
it's not accepted by all.
Yeah, but whether you like it or not, you have no option when the Supreme Court passes a judgment, passes a verdict. Your failure to accept that, you do anything to the contrary, you know you are going to prison. So maybe the lawyers around, those who disagree with the verdict of the Supreme Court about this delineation issue should caution them, should call them their attention. And you know what it means to disagree and cause a crisis that will stop any election or get people killed or destroy property. It's a very serious thing. It's beyond the politics. It's beyond the economy.
Okay, Shola, because I asked Mustafa, judicial political, because there are several cases where there will be a judicial pronouncement, but you still have to use a political tool to finally resolve the matter.
Yes, it does happen when things occur like this, because, you know, we're human. The justices of the Supreme Court are also human. So cases come, the justices look at it, and they give political decisions, so to say.
Or judicial decisions.
No, what I mean is that, of course, because those pronouncements are judicial, but political in nature. But my key area of concern is this. You saw one of the first persons who spoke, who served it in the court of INEC. The current chair of INEC is not just a professor of law, he is a senior advocate of Nigeria. He's a right-hand woman, May Agbamuche Umbu. She's also a senior lawyer. So I'm thinking, are these things they need to look at and probably call all these stakeholders again, despite the court judgment, say, look, what do we do? Because some of the persons who are involved in all of this, from the various sides, we'll still have some of them speak. You know, we have all what they've said. And some of them are already saying, look, things may go in a particular way. So INEC needs to also speak up to either allay and calm the tension.
Uju, before you come in, let me quickly lay basis for the conflict so that our listeners and viewers will tally along. The delineation exercise of what's in Warri appear to have reduced the advantage of the Shekiris in that place and shifted it towards the Jaws and Urobos. That may explain why they are aligning. The Shekiris have put their feet down and said, you must not implement this decision.
But the Beavers have exposed them.
Both the Supreme Court decision and the delineation of the words by INEC is Shekiri, but the other people are saying, INEC, you must do it. There is no two way about it.
Well, it's a difficult thing to actually determine which side is right and which side could be wrong, because this is something that has spanned decades. This is a disagreement that has been there for decades, and different settlements have come and have been rejected, and at times when you think, oh, the solution is near, everything scatters again. And in this case, it is the Supreme Court. So like Mustafa said, is the last bus stop as far as the law is concerned. Looking for political solution, I think that would be purely in the domain of well-meaning elders of the Niger Delta. I'm not saying whether of the well-meaning elders who will look beyond the three tribes in question. Others who will look at the general and larger interests of the people of the three tribes. I know that there are still others like that in Warri, Sapele, Axis. Exactly, and what the governor is trying to do. The governor also has a strong role to play, because if that place burns, it will make his business very, very difficult. It will make it difficult for him to carry out his job. I think that right now, instead of this very hard, fierce stand that I'm seeing on the faces of these elders, they should start thinking of a way to step down and look for a common front. Supreme Court is the Supreme Court, and they cannot go above the Supreme Court. Let them now begin to consider political solutions that will make it acceptable to the three of them.
A political solution that will
be
define the
within,
Supreme
yes,
Court
yeah, exactly. That will be
context.
within what the Supreme Court has stipulated, because they can't go above it.
Well, the
That's the
governor,
truth.
you talked about the governor coming with a political solution. He's already meeting.
I said it's in his domain. Yes,
he's
yeah.
already doing that troubleshooting, but perhaps I personally feel it may go beyond the governor. This is a national security threat that the federal government may want to come in. But let's hear from the
course.
Shekiris.
Yes,
Let's get to also feel their own side of the story.
To immediately investigate the technical execution and conduct of this delineation exercise. It is an embarrassment to the nation.
And we are telling the world, we are telling INEC, Nigerian government, the NSA office, all these people who are on top of this issue, to be very careful. Don't capitulate, don't fall under pressure of threat.
The homeland of the jaw is in Patani Burutu Bomadi. The homeland of Uroko is in their 8th local government. Even though we have the Shekiri who are indigenous in those 8 local governments, the Shekiris are in Sapele. So it is our own thing, like the biblical, baby in the Bible, that they will share into 3. That is not going to happen.
New arrangement based by the delineator was confers the advantage to the Jaws and Urubos in Warri. The Shekiri is not quite happy with that. Mustafa Mohammed,
the introduction of
are you still insisting on judicial solution here? Because there are cases in the past where, after, like the local government thing, the autonomy, the Supreme Court gave judgment more than 3 years after it's not been implemented. It tells you perhaps we should go beyond that to find the real solution.
The implementation of the local government autonomy, the president is doing it gradually. The governors are adopting. I know states who have started giving their allocation, local government allocations directly to the local government. So that one, you give kudos to the president. But going back to this issue, Amechi and Akwe, the introduction of beavers has exposed the fraud in some of these elections in the past.
Especially within
Alleged
that Warri.
fraud.
Especially within that Warri. Remember, there are members of the National Assembly who kept coming with huge votes. But beavers, the technology in the beavers has exposed how many voters are in these areas.
Especially the riverine.
The riverine areas, which always brings hundreds of thousands. And now, they have been exposure to the reality is what they are angry about. If they really have the numbers, the technology will show. So who is going to deceive who in all these things? It's not the trade that will save their face. And the Nigerian electorate also have a very big problem. It's not just in Warri, Delta, and in so many other places. Those people who you are sending with fraudulent results to the National Assembly, what impact have they made? Even in your state, some of the governors you have elected, what impact have they made in your whatever? So those who felt they can challenge the Supreme Court verdict are looking for trouble because you don't even have a diplomatic
The
relationship.
truth is that the three sets of tribes.
Let me guide you. I talked about the presidency intervening. The president's wife is of the Shekiri extraction. And some people there are already calling her out as if she has been involved indirectly.
Well, I don't know what to say to that because she's a very decent woman. I would not want to believe that she would try to meddle into things like that. But of course, she has a right to fight for her people. If it was your own people too, you would want to fight for them.
The same way President Jonathan fought in Okrika.
The way Esther,
they were in power.
Exactly, and the way Esther fought for the Jews. You know, maybe she has been put there for a time such as this. But you see, beyond all of these, if you look at the three tribes, you look at the points that they're making, every single one of them have reasons, for the demands that they are making.
They are all right.
And you know that the Shekiris may be the fewest in number, so to say, but they have been very politically vibrant and impactful over the years, because they were the first to be enlightened, the first to be educated. Yes, the other ones have come up, but you don't want to be first and later be relegated to be last. Nobody would accept that. But anyway,
But democracy is a game of numbers.
That's what
You
we
can
are
only
saying.
negotiate.
Mustafa said fraud. That's why I said alleged fraud, because if you decide to look deeply into what is happening, all of them at one point in time must have presented inflated results, because they are all riverine areas. Okay. They all have waters. They bring results from across the waters. So that one is a general thing. There's not only one side that is guilty of that.
Quickly.
But we will look for a solution so that our pipelines do not suffer again and we do not witness violence. The kind of violence that erupted between the Jaws and the Shekiris in the past, may God not let us see it again.
The pipelines are not suffering, but the flow stations are suffering. About 13, the last time we checked, have been shot in protest by community members, especially women, protesting against this. That's why we said it is an economic and national security threat.
Yeah, I know we have a clip of the Urubu ethnic group, which will still play on the program.
Yes, the subset of it.
Yes, but an area which we need to look at with regards to all of what is happening. Delineation is done to accommodate various peoples in political, exercises.
Population changes.
Exactly. And that's why this will make it the 20th year that we last held a population census. The last one that was fixed just before President Buhari left, it was postponed. So, there are things that we can use to quench political disputes. If population census is done, everybody will know your political strength.
And INEC will now be forced to delineate afresh.
According to the results of a population census. I saw, one of the leaders in one of the groups, which we just had on screen, showing the geographical map of the various places where the various ethnic groups occupy, because this is an ethnic part also. There's no way
about it. Has resulted to identity politics.
Exactly, because of the political implications around what is going to happen. And like you posed the question to June, you said, the wife of the president, that she's obviously, Shekiri extraction, raised in the western part of the country, does she have a hand in all of this? We cannot say. And Uju also said she doesn't think she. But in times
some of them have already called her out.
Yes, people will stretch their hands.
Are they trying to ask her, don't dare, stay off?
It depends. Because people will look at who they have as persons of influence and begin to say, come and help us. So yes, your husband is at the villa. After she, in particular.
There's a saying in my place, if your father is in heaven, you can't go to hell.
So some of them may begin to, I don't know how it is in the Shekiri land, whether when a woman passes, whether she's buried where her husband is or should they need to bring her home. I know some cultures.
It's a matrilineal society.
Their women are quite influential.
Exactly. So we may not look in that direction because we don't have the facts on that. But the bottom line is this. The president's wife, this is the time she can also be thinking and calling, say, my husband, let's do the census quickly. So how these issues...
Will she want to descend into the arena or stay above the arena?
It depends on her. Some people
it will be in her interest to stay out.
It will help her. Yes. But at the same time, they said, our former president said some things happened in the bedroom. When people talk and ask in the other room. So that was on a lighter note. Yes. But on the more serious note, our leaders, as we are with the clip from the Urobo side, people need to keep the peace. We need to be very calm so that tempers do not.
That's the priority. But let's hear from further interest in that controversy in Warri.
Implementation of the report as it amounts to imposing names or altering the recognized ownership of the Agbara Warri land to Ijaw, who do not have a land in Warri South local government area.
As an advice to INEC, there are political jobbers everywhere, which you and I know that somebody like Victor Kumaba has been jobbing politically over the years. Victor has never been appointed, neither has he been nominated, neither has he been assigned by anybody or the Agbara people to represent them.
Warri Kingdom. So many subunits within that one. And I think it would be nice if we also take a listen now to what the governor has been doing. The governor sensing the danger and with that objective to nip it in the bud, summoned a meeting of elders in Asaba. And let's take a listen to the outcome.
Peace. And they have assured me that they'll keep to that peace accord because in my more agenda, I've told Deltans that we're going to enhance peace and security. We don't need peace. We don't need a crisis at this time. Warri, we are coming together as one family. There's nothing that we cannot resolve. People say I don't speak, I don't talk, I don't do this, I choose not to speak, but this is the right time for me to talk. And that's why I've called you people for you just say less than 24 hours notice who are here. So we're ready to work together and to sustain the peace we already have in Warri. Other issues will be handled. I've thanked the Shekiri, I've thanked the job and the ethnic nationality. We're going to work together to make sure there is peace in that federal constituency. So I want to thank you for coming, and God continue to bless you as you travel back home. God bless.
We just came out. We just came out from a brief meeting with the governor, where we had our position as it just from the Warri federal constituency, but governor has given us a marching order to ensure that there is no crisis. Actually, I assure indigenes of this state, no Ijaw man is or will plan to attack any Shekiri man in his village. It won't happen. I assure you, and by the grace of God, there's going to be continuous peace, provided there's mutual respect for all ourselves. Thank you, and God bless you.
My name is Olorogo Victor Kumagba. I led the Urobo delegation to this peace talk with the governor. I think for some time now, we've been having issues with regards to the ward and unit delineation in Warri Federal constituency, which is almost snowballing into some little disorder in the Warri Federal constituency. And the governor has called us today, all the three ethnic nationalities. We have sat, we have discussed, and we have agreed that henceforth, all tools must be put down for us to go into the negotiating table. And we have agreed also to maintain the peace and keep the peace for us to enjoy in Warri Federal constituency. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen of the press, my names are Chief Ayirimi Emami. I led the delegation of the Shekiri ethnic nationality. As Shekiri, we had our own position regarding the world delineation. But the governor has spoken that everybody must keep their sword. And we've all agreed to keep peace, and we'll go back home and relay that. Thank you.
We hope that the peace will be kept and conflict avoided. It's good that peacekeeping efforts and troubleshooting missions are being undertaken. I won't demand more because the nation, especially Delta State, cannot afford further conflicts in Warri, Delta State.
Now than
Yes.
when we first
They are more relaxed.
But you can see that they are still measuring their words.
Yes.
The next thing is to go and tell their boys, stay
To
action.
stop blocking the waterways and what have you.
Let's get the mails now as we get set to round up.
Anefia Kuntia from Sogwota, Ogun State, says, inasmuch as we don't support nor pity kidnappers of any kind, the demolition of a building where kidnappers are found is certainly not the right step to take by the government. Renting out an apartment is legitimate. That is legal in Nigeria and across the globe. Therefore, destroying a complete building of an innocent landlord should not be an option. The government should rather pronounce capital punishment for any kidnapper found guilty and ensure speedy trial of kidnappers. Let's have a rethink, because most landlords use their retirement benefits to build their houses and rent them out. We can as well convert the buildings to accommodate displaced persons. In all, let capital punishment be given to both kidnappers and corrupt politicians, because they do destroy lives. Emekamba sent this in from Abuja. He says, when I listen to people like Mustafa Mohammed tell us that the problem with state police is that the governors will use them negatively to intimidate and hound opponents, I just wonder. Maybe rightly so, but isn't that excuse flimsy compared to the more serious and menacing insecurity it is meant to check? Yes, ideas and actions, policies have the advantages and disadvantages. But the question is, which one outweighs the other? When the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages, as is the case of state police, then we go with the advantages and devise means of checking disadvantages or effects if necessary. With a growing level of insecurity in the country right now, and in the rural areas and spaces, mostly ungoverned and worst hit, state police are needed now more than ever. It is long overdue, and we don't have the luxury of time. We're wasting getting off the ground.
Okay, we have some more here. Mark Patrick Linus writes in from Abuja. He says, in 2025, Mrs. Tinubu launched a fundraising initiative she called the Oluremiat 65 Education Fund to support the completion of the long-delayed National Library project in Abuja. The appeal was tied to her 65th birthday celebration, where she asks Nigerians and well-wishers to donate money instead of sending cakes, gifts, flowers, or advertisements. She described the project as a, quote, gift to the nation. Subsequently, over 20.5 billion naira was raised at that December as announced. This is June 2026. I drove past the site to and from my office, and I can confidently tell you, nothing in terms of physical work is commenced. The media should please carry out an investigation and report back to Nigerians what happened to all the money donated. We have another mail. This one is from Henry Onwunonu, writing in from Abuja. Join me to express my very mercy the Director General of DSS for his exceptional sense of selfless service to humanity and philanthropy, demonstrated through the building and donation of a modern school to the people of Chukun local government area of Kaduna State. I know that the man is not super rich, but chose to use his means and contacts to bless humanity, especially the downtrodden. God will bless him abundantly. May the children who will attend the school be exceptional in character and learning. May kidnappers and bandits not steal them for ransom. May the likes of Mr. Tosin Ajayi abound in our public service. God bless Nigeria. Henry Onwunonu writes.
Amen.
Yes, Tony.
That's a good one.
Tosin Ajayi winning laurels from everywhere. For want of time, we can't go into the issue of a proposal. That is not new, but coming from someone that is saying it for the first time. Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele has said very soon, as soon as possible, in fact, he will introduce a bill in the National Assembly seeking a 6-year single term for presidents and governors. We have seen many people, Goodluck Jonathan, while he was in power, proposed 5 years. Yes. He was shouted down.
Yes.
Now, the fear of Nigerians is that
then, some
it may be a tenure elongation
leaders,
ploy.
yes. Even before then, some frontline politicians, even some members of Nadeko Afenifere then made the same suggestions, advocated the same, but to no positive response at that point in time. So,
I bet you at the 2014 National Conference, you were there, I was there, Mustafa was there. These proposals came up, single term, and they said to guard against acrimony. This is actually
not just acrimony, wasting time preparing for re-election.
Exactly.
Why you should be focused on delivering
on what you need to do. This is operational in about 3 Latin American countries. In Chile, in Peru. You come, do 1 term, get off the stage, another person comes, then you can seek re-election after.
Yes, it also happened in Russia with Putin. Mustafa.
Yes, you see, the problem is usually not how long one serves. What do you have in the kitty to offer your electorates? You discover that seeking re-election takes a lot of time and governance suffer. And just look at our governors since the communal of democracy in 1999. A lot of them, you score them very zero. From 1999 to 2003, you can actually single out maybe Adamu Muazu. Maybe from 2003 to 2007, you can single out very few. Maybe in the current dispensation, you'll be talking about, last dispensation, it was El-Rufai, he did well. But now you're talking about Governor Inua, Governor Zulum, that of, I'm talking about Northern Nigeria, that of Jigawa and others. So it's not how long. What do the people have to offer? Especially now that the governors are having billions from federal revenue, yet they have several cars in their convoy, 30 cars, one governor.
And then looking at the political side, I hope if they want to push it through, it will not be that it will start with the second term of anybody for another person to finish 4 years and then come and do another 6 years.
If Obeyemi Bamidele wants to remove controversy for it as he's submitting the bill before the Senate, it should include a proviso that it should take effect from 2031, because some people are already saying if it takes effect and the President Tinubu wins, he may be the first to enjoy it, and they see it as tenure elongation. But to remove that controversy, there is need for him to consider that. Thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of my colleagues, my name is Michi, and we'll have a good time.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
I hope you know what you're doing. In the bid to get a new son, don't lose the one you have.
Life, like an unending ocean.
We have blood on your head.
Come back with the document, even if you have to kill, steal, or destroy.
Please, tell our children who this boy is.
Don't be carried away by my beauty.
Welcome to The Defender, your window into the Nigerian security and civil defense corps.